Well, excited to be here, excited to worship together, excited to dive into this new series and look at Battlegrounds. This series is really designed to kind of dig into the deep areas of our lives, into past hurts, relationships, things that maybe we really don't want to let God touch in our lives. And I don't know about you, but I feel like there's always these things in my life that I'm like, maybe don't go there, God. Maybe stay away from that. And it seems like just the world we live in, like brokenness it just happens. And you and I are imperfect people, and I am sure, like me, you've had relationships that have broken. Have any of you guys ever watched Hatfield and McCoy's? Like some of you guys. So some of you guys understand good television, some of you don't, but there's these two families over in Virginia, and one's in Kentucky, and they've got this valley that runs between them, and they get in this fight over a pig. This fight boils over, pride and anger enter, and this valley becomes like a battleground. I mean, they're like shooting on sight when they see, and it's a true story. And this family, they fight and feud for years, to eventually where reunion takes place. And even to this day, these two families come together and they have reunions. You can go, and there's this whole thing. You can go and visit and hear. And I was thinking of that show, and it just got me thinking, like, how many times in my life have I been in a fight for so long I forget what it's about? Like, you guys ever do that? Like, maybe even with your spouse, like, you've been fighting so long, you're like, why are we fighting? Like, some of you guys are like, yeah, that's Tuesday around my house. Like, but truthfully, like just the brokenness in our lives, like we will fight so long that we'll look back on it and be like, what did this start over? That's what we're going to talk about. In the Bible, there's a family. There's these two brothers, Jacob and Esau, and they get in a fight. And it boils over, and it ends up being a lot more than what it could have been. But really, to understand the fight, we've got to understand a little bit about their family. Jacob and Esau, their mom and dad was Isaac and Rebekah. Rebecca gets pregnant with twins, the Bible tells us, and from birth, like they're in the womb, like dropping elbows. So ladies who've been pregnant, you can imagine like these two kids are just, rolling around and tussling in the womb before they're even born. The day they're born, Esau is born first, which matters greatly in their day. Jacob, though, he's born, he's holding on to his brother's foot. He's like, gotta be quicker than that. Like, he ain't getting ahead of me in life. And all through, like, their life, like, that's the picture that we see with Jacob and Esau. Now, Dad, he loves Esau. Because here's the thing about Esau. Like, he's born and he is a man's man. He's got red hair. He's just, in my mind, like, he just basically comes out with a beard. And he smells like campfire and deer meat. And so Dad loves that. Like, he's like, this is my boy. Now, Jacob comes out, and he's not as, I guess, manly in the sense that we see Esau. Like, the text doesn't tell us that he goes out and he's hunting. It says he stays in with mom. He helps cook. He helps take care of things. He's more refined. He's more put together. He's a mom's boy. And his mother loves it. And so you get these two kids in life that mom loves one and dad loves the other, and they've been fighting from the womb, and they just constantly through life are just back and forth with one another. One day, though, Esau, he goes out and he's doing manly things. He kills an animal. Well, I don't know if he kills an animal, but he's hunting. I assume he's killed an animal, but he comes in, and his brother's there cooking some kind of stew, some kind of, in my mind, chili, because that's how Travis fills in these dots. And Esau's hungry. Hungry. And he smells it. And you guys have been in this situation. Maybe you've been out working in the yard all day, and you come in and you smell food, and you're like, I need that, like bad. And he is so hungry. He says, let me get a bowl of that, brother. And his brother says, give me your birthright. Like you guys that have brothers or like have kids, you're like, this is how brothers are. It's like, you want a bowl of stew? Like, give me everything you're worth. Like, this is going to cost everything you're worth. Esau says, what's it matter? Like, I'll give you my birthright, because if I don't get a bowl of what you've cooked, I'm going to die anyways. Like, what good is a birthright if you're dead? Like, you'll get my birthright either way, so give me this stew. And they make a deal right there. I'll tell you, the first thing you should learn from this sermon is don't make deals when you're hangry. Like, take a break, go find something to eat first, then come back to the table and discuss it. But not Esau. He says, give me the stew, you take my birthright, it'll be okay. Well, the life goes on, and it is time for Isaac. He's getting older in years, so now he is going to speak blessing over his son, his firstborn, as would have been tradition, Esau. Rebecca and Jacob are in the kitchen. I don't know what they're doing, but Rebecca hears Dad say this and says, oh, no. My boy is going to get that birthright. And so she tells Rebecca, mom, tells her son, go get 2 goats. We're going to kill them. I'll make a stew. While I'm making the stew, you take the other goat and you start gluing its hair to your arms so that whenever you go in there and your dad's old and he can't see and he don't know what's going on, he'll think that you're Esau and he'll speak the blessing over you. What? Like, you all talk, I'm telling you, if there's ever a reality show from the book of the Bible, it's going to be Genesis. Like, this family is wilding out. Like, mom's like, no, kill 2 goats and glue the other one's hair to your body. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, if I'm Jacob, I'm like, what? Like, that's never going to work. Well, it does. And he goes in there with all the hair glued to him, and he's like, Dad, it's me, Jacob, or Esau. And the dad goes, you sound like Jacob. Are you sure you are who you say you are? Here, feel my hair. I don't know why they sound like this in my mind, but that's how it's going. And he's like, feel my hair. And Dad does it, and he blesses them. He speaks all the blessings over the second born. He speaks all the blessings over Jacob. Well, Esau, he's out doing the manly things. He's out doing the hunting. He comes in, and guess what he's ready for? He's ready to receive his blessing. The blessing that was promised because he's the firstborn. Also, the birthright he traded off. But he shows up, and he learns that his dad has just spoke his blessing over his little brother, Jacob. And so the text, Genesis 27, that's not where we're going yet, but Genesis 27, he says to his father, like, do you only have one blessing? Like, I'm telling you, like, I'm with him. Like, that's all you got, Dad? You gave it all to him? Like, you didn't save, like even if I was the big brother, I'd be like, no, save something for him. Like you got to give him something, Dad. He's going to be mad if he gets nothing. Like give him the old beat up Honda or anything. Like, save him 1 goat, even if it's lame. Oh, no. Dad speaks every blessing over the younger brother. And so when Esau shows up, he's like, Dad, you got anything for me? Listen what his dad gives him. Oh, man, it's good. His father... Listen, Isaac answers him, look, your dwelling place will be far away from the riches of the land, away from the dew of the sky above. You will live by your sword, you will serve your brother, but when you rebel, you'll break his yoke from his neck. Listen, this is the blessing. You're going to live where the land is bad, where the rain doesn't come, and you're going to survive by your sword. Man, you're going to fight your whole life. Well, he should have just named him Sue at that point, and he could have just fought his whole life. And when you're finally sick of it, you'll break the yoke of your brother from you. What a blessing. Like, thanks, Dad. Like, you could have just said no. Like, you didn't have to do that to me. So, what does he do? He does what every manly man in this moment is going to do. When you die, Dad, I'm going to kill that guy. So he decides. That's what he said. I'm going to, when my dad dies, when it's time for Dad to die, I'm going to go and I'm going to kill my brother. Okay, Esau's a manly man. Like, I'm telling you, he's big, he's hairy, and he goes out and kills things. Esau does that. Jacob's cooking. Well, Esau hears this, and he does what you should do. If someone bigger and meaner and tougher wants to kill you, you run. Like, you don't stay and try to figure out, like, is this the day I whoop my big brother? No, you run. Well, he ran 500 miles, it says, all the way to his Uncle Laban's house. Like, he's gone. He gets out of there. And when he gets there, this story is wild. Y'all go and read this. It's great. He sees a girl, his first cousin. It ain't as weird then as it would be now, but he sees his first cousin. He says, I'm going to marry that girl. Well, you got to work for 7 years if you want to marry her. And then his uncle, on the wedding night, switches with the older sister. Ha ha, you punk. You did that to your brother. Now it's all coming around to get you. switches, and he's like, well, I'll work 7 more years. Like, I'm going to marry that girl. And it's just, it's an amazing story of brokenness. You have to think about this family. When mom tells her son to go deceive her dad to get what was promised to her firstborn, like, this is a broken family that's taking place. And when Jacob runs away, you know what he does? He leaves all that brokenness back there. And in Genesis chapter 31, the Lord says to Jacob, hey, go back to the land of your ancestor. Go back to your family, and I'll be with you. Hold on. He's going to go back to his brother? The brother that's been living off of the land where it's not raining and he's living by a sword? You want me to go back and see him? You want me to go back to the dad that the last time I saw him, I was gluing goat hair to my body saying, Dad, bless me, I'm your oldest son. You want me to go back to the people that I ran 500 miles away from? Now Jacob, man, I'm telling you, he lived life. Got two wives. He's got some wives. He's got kids. He's got flocks and herds. Like he's got it all. But you know what else he's got? Brokenness. He's ran as far as he could, but there is still brokenness in his life. And I think some of us are where Jacob's at in this story. Like, we've moved geographically. We financially and spiritually feel like we've moved on, but the truth is when we look back to the past, man, there's a person or a situation or a group that, man, we just say, man, there's some broken and there's some hurtness when I think about this person or this situation right here. And sometimes it's not even us, it's not even them, it's us. And we look back and we're like, man, all I can think is this part in my life. That is Jacob in the story. When he thinks of mom and dad and brothers and growing up, all he remembers is the situation 20 years ago that he's tried to run from his whole life. But I'll tell you this, there's some fights that just never die. God says, go back. Jacob says, okay. And so in Genesis 32, Jacob is on his way, and the God's angels meet him. And when they saw him, they say, this is God's camp. And Jacob sends these messengers ahead to meet his brother Esau in the land of Seir. And he commands them, when you see Esau, like you tell him, his servant Jacob says this, I have been staying with Laban, that's their uncle, and I've been delayed until now. 20 years I've been delayed. I have oxen and donkeys and flocks and male and female slaves. I sent this message to inform my Lord. This is Jacob talking to Esau, my Lord, in order to seek your favor. Starting in verse 6, when the messengers returned to Jacob, we went to your brother Esau. He's coming to meet you. Well, great. He's coming to meet you, but he's got 400 men with him. Jacob, like you and I would probably be, is it says greatly afraid and distressed. Yeah. This dude's been living by a sword. He's got 400 of his dudes with him. Like, this doesn't sound like a brother who's coming to say, hi, what's up, missed you, how's my nieces and my nephews? No. So Jacob starts dividing, it says, his people into 2 camps, along with the flocks and the herds and the camel. Because he thought, man, if he attacks one camp, the other camp, maybe we can jet out of here. Jacob thought distance was going to deliver him from this hurt. He thought, man, with enough time, maybe the wounds would heal. With enough time, like maybe what happened would be forgotten. But the truth is this, time does not heal what we refuse to face. Like time may numb it and we may distract ourselves from it, but it cannot redeem what we won't allow God to touch. You can change your job, you can change your town, you can change your phone number, but you can never allow God to heal what you will not allow him to touch. And there's probably some things in your life that you've been running from that you say, man, God, I'm fine with you touching this area and this area, but don't touch that area. Don't open that box, God, and please don't walk through that door because, man, there's a mess behind that door and I surely don't want to deal with what's behind it. You can't forgive what they did. You can't forgive the things they've said. You can't let go of. You carry it around just like Jacob did for 20 years, the shadow of Esau and the hurt. What Jacob learned when he left is, man, you can build a new life. But you can't build peace without dealing with it. So God says, go home. Go and deal with it. not to humiliate him. Like he doesn't plan on sending Jacob there so that when he sees Esau, that Esau can tell him all the dirty, down-rotten things that he did that he's still mad at him about. No, what he wants to do is he wants to expose the hurt and expose the situation so ultimately God can do a miracle through the situation. And for you and I, we can't move forward chained to our past. Like God can never do what he wants with us if we're chained to the past hurts and the past brokenness that we've walked through in our life. He can't heal it if we won't allow him to deal with it. You know what happens to a broken relationship if you don't deal with it? It just stays broken. You may forget it's broken. You know what happens to your marriage if it's in a broken place and you don't allow God to deal with it? Well, it just stays broken, and you may stay roommates for 50 years. But let me tell you, your marriage will never be the fullness of what God's called it to be if you don't deal with the brokenness. You know what happens to estranged relationships with your kids and your parents and your brothers and your sisters if you don't deal with it? It just stays estranged. And no matter if it's 10 years or 20 years or 200 years, that brokenness just still exists because we're chained to it. And so God tells Jacob to go deal with it. 2 weeks ago we preached about this vision. And the challenge was to consecrate our hearts, to be ready for what God wanted to do, looking at the Israel as they crossed into the promised land. Let me tell you, consecrate our hearts means allowing God to deal with wounds that we don't want him to deal with. It means allowing God to deal with these situations that, man, we don't even want to think about. Point 2 is this: reconciliation starts with prayer, not performance. He thought, Genesis 32, verse 8, he says, he thought if Esau comes to one camp and attacks it, the remaining one can escape. So Jacob said, God of my father, this is not Jacob getting alone with the Lord and praying. He says, God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, the Lord who said to me, go back to the land, to your family, I will cause you to prosper. I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you have shown your servant. Indeed, I crossed over the Jordan with my staff, and now I have become two camps. Please rescue me from my brother Esau, for I'm afraid of him. Otherwise, he may come and attack me and the mothers and their children. You have said, I will cause you to prosper. I will make your offspring like the sand of the sea, too numerous to be counted. You know what Jacob does before he ever goes and sees Esau? He gets alone with the Lord. This is the longest prayer in the book of Genesis. You know why I think it's the longest prayer? Because it's the prayer of a desperate man. It's not polished. It's really not that pretty. And the truth is this, it boils down to this: I'm scared. I'm not enough. I need you to intervene, or my brother is actually probably going to kill everybody I love. Like that's a prayer of a man that knows that when he gets to the location he's going to, if God doesn't show up, man, he's done. And so he cries out. I love one part of it. Well, I love the whole thing, but there's one part that sticks out. God, I'm not worthy of any of this. I deserve none of it. You know, the first thing that must take place in our life before we can ever be right with God is we must come to a real realization of who we are and who he is. And let me tell you, if you don't understand how bad you are and how bad your sin really is, you'll never understand how good and how gracious the God who saved you from your sin really is. And so we've got to come to that. And so Jacob says, God, I don't deserve anything you've given me, but if you would intervene, man, that would be great. Reconciliation does not start with a plan. It does not start with repeating this talk that you go over with. It's not a perfectly worded text. What reconciliation truly starts with is you on your knees crying out to God that he would move in your heart. Catch that, because listen, my favorite prayer to pray is that God would change someone else's heart. Man, me and my wife arguing. Well, God, if you just help her see I'm right, that'd be so much easier on me. Someone upset at me, God, if you just make them know how right I am, that'd sure make life easier on Travis. I remember doing the Love Dare years ago. The intro to it, you know what it says? This book is for you, not for your spouse. Don't go through this book thinking, man, if my wife would do this or my wife would do this, how much better it would be. No, you just let God work on your heart through this and let him have it. Like that's where reconciliation and brokenness starts, with us. Us praying, God, you do a work in my heart. God, you move in a mighty way in my heart. God, you help me to see you. And so before Jacob goes, he gets alone with the Lord. This situation, we won't go all the way into the story, but as he gets away, he goes in this tent and he meets the Lord. And they're having this conversation, and I really do. I hope we get to hear it one day, because I think it's going to be one of these stories that we just are like, wow. Jacob's in the tent, and he's literally, the text tells us he's wrestling with the Lord. And I think in my mind that Esau was just what the text says. Man, he was a man's man. He liked to hunt. He liked to kill things. I'm sure he was tough. Like I see this picture of a guy that was just like, he'd do anything. If it was physical, he wanted to do it. And then I see Jacob. And I think Jacob was smart. Like I think he thought things through. I mean, I think Esau would run through a brick wall. And I think Jacob would come up with a plan of how to climb over it without hurting himself at all. Like just two different people, but they're brothers. And I don't know about you. I had a brother, and I had siblings, and I've had cousins. And if I was a man's man and I was walking in with this deer I just killed, and I was just, oh man, look at this thing. It's a 12-point buck, and I'm talking about its width. And man, I can't wait I'm going to grill it up, and all I need is just some meat. And I walk into the house, and my little brother, who I've been competing with my whole life, looks at me and says, well, that would probably pair well with some sourdough. I would make fun of him. I would. I'm serious. If you guys got siblings, like don't act like you ain't ever made fun of your sibling. And if I was like, today I think I'll go out and I'm going to cut a tree down and I'm going to build me a little shelter out in the woods. And my little brother looks at me and says, I think today me and Mom are going to make cinnamon rolls. I would pick on him every chance I got. And so I think of this moment in the tent when Jacob's alone with the Lord. I think there's some honest conversations going on. God, you remember when I was a little boy, and all I wanted to do was hang out with Mom in the kitchen, and Esau would come in pestering me, telling me that I was a sissy, making fun of me because I wanted to stay in, and he was a man's man. And he had 50 pounds on me, and every time we would fight, man, he'd really put it on me. And God, I was right to take his birthright from him. He's the idiot who traded it for some soup. Like I'm telling you, if I was in the tent, that'd be my argument. And listen, if I was Jacob and I had a big, meaner brother that was tougher and just manlier than I am, I'd steal his birthright if I could. I'd say, you barely beat me, punk. I was hanging on to you. If Mom would have gave us one more day, I'm telling you, I was going to climb out of there before you even had a chance. Like, that would be me. And so I think that the argument that he's having is one of struggling hard. I think he's struggling to forgive his brother for some things. Now, that's not in the text, but let me tell you what is in the text, that he argues so hard and so long with the Lord that the Lord says, okay, and the Lord touches his hip, and it comes out of socket. And Jacob, man, he's fought his whole life. Like he fought for the birthright, he fought for Rachel, he fought for Leah, he had to fight Laban to even leave. Like he's been fighting and deceiving and getting his way the whole time, but now he's in a fight that he can't win. And God says, oh, no, you don't walk away from this one on top. I am the Lord. I am the one who sits the way. And he reaches out and he touches Jacob. And Jacob won't let go of him. He says, I won't let go of you till you bless me. And the Lord blesses him, and he goes out of that tent. And you know what he leaves that tent with? A limp. Every step that he takes from there forward, he has a limp. You know why? Because God wants to remind him that it's not his strength that's carrying him towards his brother, but it's the Lord's. And so he presses on. God breaks him to a point where he walks out of that tent, and he's ready to go meet his brother. I want you to know God will break the strongest areas in your life. You know what I've realized the strongest area in my life usually is? Unforgiveness in my heart. And you want to know why? Because people hurt me. And I don't want to forgive them. And I'm not talking about surface level hurt. Like if you don't think I'm funny, that's your problem. Like that don't hurt me. Like you just got bad humor. See, so those that laughed, you get it. Those that didn't, you got bad humor. Work on it. I'm talking about the wound of a child, of a dad who was an addict, who beat my mother and left. Like I didn't want to forgive him. Like I didn't want to let go of it. I'm talking about the people that I've trusted in life, that I've said, man, I would link arms and go to war with you. And then I hear that they've been talking smack or they betrayed me. I don't want to forgive them. That's what Jacob's dealing with. That's what Esau's dealing with is real hurt, real wounds in their life. And the truth is this, reconciliation just won't ever begin with apology. It will only begin with prayer between you and God. And it may be a wrestling match for you. But let me tell you, if you're in the tent with the Lord and you're really praying to the Lord and you'll surrender your will to His, He'll deal with it. And He'll say, it'll be my strength that will carry you to it. Man, we're going to run out of time. Point 3 is this. Grace flips the story. Jacob looked up, Genesis 33, he looks up, he sees Esau coming towards him with the 400 men. This is wild. So he starts dividing the children among Leah, Rachel, and the 2 slave women. Now you know who he loves. He puts the slaves and their children first, Leah and her children next, and then Rachel and Joseph last. He goes ahead of himself. He bows 7 times. It's customary to show he's surrendering to his brother. And listen, Esau starts to run towards him. Now, Jacob has got to be thinking, God, you better intervene. Like, he's big, he's burly, he looks like he's been through it all. He looks like he's been living away from where the land's blessing, the dew of the sky, living by a sword. If he gets to me, he is going to lay it on me. God, where are you at? And listen, this is what the story says. It says that when Esau got to him, he hugged him, he threw his arms around him, and he kissed him, and they wept together. That's grace. That's what happens to these stories when God gets involved is what we would write off and say, man, there is no way healing could ever take place to this hurt or this hurt in my life. When you allow grace to move in, man, it runs faster than guilt does every single time. And God shows up in such a way that these 2 brothers go on to link arms and say, man, I love you. And there's real reconciliation that takes place. But let me tell you, point 4 is this: reconciliation's messy, but it's worth it. They wept. They forgave each other. They hugged. But I want you to know this: they didn't move in together. That's what the text says. It says, "Come on, let's stay together." He said, "No, my people are slow, man. You go ahead." And they don't move in together. And for you and I, and for what I'm talking about, because if it's not surface level hurt, and we can move past surface level hurt, we're talking about deep wounds that have been there for years. Man, you start talking to me about reconciliation, and you say, man, you need to have reconciliation with your father or with this person. What I start to hear is like, oh, I need to invite them back into my life. And I'm like, I don't want that. Like, I don't want to invite them back in. And so when I hear it, I start thinking, man, everything's got to be perfect, and it's got to go back to how it was. But that's not what we see in the text. We don't see that the brothers go back to living together and they start to build up their homes back together. No, it says the opposite. They go separate ways. Which means that this reconciliation, you don't have to pretend nothing happened. You don't have to go back to what it used to be. Like, you can still have boundaries in reconciliation. Like, I won't lie to you. I love my father. Like, I pray that he has a direct encounter with God, and that his life is changed, and that he gets to spend eternity in heaven. Like, that is my true prayer. When I think of my dad, I don't think of the abuse. I don't think of the drugs. I don't think of those things. Like, that's the past. They don't define the future. But let me tell you, we don't do things together. He's not invited into my house. My kids don't know who he is. And for some of you guys, like, you're like, wow, that's rough. Well, let me tell you, it was rough. And I can't just go back to that, but let me tell you, through Jesus, you can have reconciliation. It doesn't mean it goes back to how it was. If it did, they would have moved in together. But it does mean that the past is no longer defining the future. I can walk up if I saw my dad. I can tell him I love him. I can tell him there's a father who loves him, a God who wants to have a relationship with him. But there's still boundaries in my life. Jacob and Esau, man, they didn't act like there wasn't any wounds. They didn't act like the past didn't happen. They just said, this isn't going to define our next step. The story goes on, man, they bury their dad together. Separate ways, dad dies, they come back together, back to separate ways. It's not the picture-perfect family that we think of. And so maybe for you, man, reconciliation just starts with a small text. Starts with a phone call. Maybe it starts with just a prayer that says, God, help me to forgive them. I don't want to. God, move in my heart. But let me tell you, the longer you carry it, the heavier it gets. The longer you walk with that unforgiveness and the longer you walk with that hurt, man, it only gets heavier every single step of the way. I'll invite the praise team up, and we'll close with this. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 18 and 19 says, everything is from God, who has reconciled us to himself through Christ and has given us the ministry of reconciliation. That is, in Christ, God was reconciling the world to himself, not counting their trespasses against them, and he has committed the message of reconciliation to us. Like, this story is just not about two brothers who make peace. Like this story is a greater picture of a father who wants to make peace with his children. You know, Jacob, the swindler, the tricker, like he represents you and I. Like you and I, man, we've schemed, we've sinned, and the truth is this, we've ran, and we don't want to always face the consequence of our sin, but Jesus is the better Esau who he's running to us, and he wants to embrace us with love, and he wants to wrap his arms around us. So much so that the foot of the cross, which should have been a battlefield, becomes a place of holy ground where you and I can enter into a relationship with Jesus Christ. And so maybe you sit in this room and you're tired of fighting. You're fighting your sin, you feel the full guilt and shame, and you're just tired of it. Quit fighting. The Bible teaches that there's a God who loves you in an intimate way, who sent his son to die for you on a cross, that stood in a place and died a death you deserved, to defeat death that you never could, so that you could have a relationship that truthfully we shouldn't have. And so maybe that's who you're fighting, but maybe you're fighting yourself. It's failing to forgive yourself for things you've done, things you've said. Maybe there's someone in your life who you're failing to forgive, and you've been fighting them, and every time you think of that situation, man, it gets you ticked, or it gets you hurt. Give it to the Lord. Take time, go wrestle with them. Let God have it. I'll pray. Heavenly